Today on Switch to Linux, I wanted to spend some time talking about this new trend of sharenting. And what this basically is a parenting where you're basically creating a digital profile of your children even before they have the ability to do it. Now, this is one of those controversial things in our modern age because the question is, we see on one hand some people are coming out and saying, well, you need to get your children's consent before you change their diaper. Like, okay. The baby's going to tell me no. We're going to leave him sit there until he gets diaper rash. I don't know. But at the opposite extreme, you have people that have no thought or no care about privacy of anybody else, including themselves. And I hear it all the time, if you have nothing to hide, if you're not doing anything wrong, you don't have anything to hide. Well, the problem is with that argument is there is always things to hide, even if you're not doing anything wrong. You agree with that statement. Otherwise, you wouldn't be locking your door every night. You wouldn't be walking around telling everybody your bank accounts. You wouldn't be doing just a lot of the things that we do in society that you don't think twice about. But when it comes to data privacy, many people do not know or have a cognition about any form of privacy. And if you do not have privacy on your own front, you certainly don't care about privacy on others, which is why I can go out to a conference or something and I can hand out my business card and, invariably everybody will take your business card because of course everybody wants to market to you or whatever else, even though that's not why I gave you the card, but then you give them their card and they just, despite having no other relationship, oh, I've captured a phone number. Let me just click it with my app and it automatically adds it to my contact list. And I'm on Facebook, so I automatically upload all my contacts perpetually to Facebook. Well, you didn't ask consent of anybody there. Now, chances are a good 80-90+% of those people probably also have Facebook accounts, and Facebook probably also has those phone numbers. But I don't, and I don't want Facebook to have my phone number. Why is it even legal for you to upload my phone number to a company like Facebook? And these are some of those things we have to keep in mind. Now, if you are not a privacy-centric person, you don't think twice about sharing data of your own, nor do you think twice about anybody else's data either. This is why I had working with a client. We've been trying to resolve something on their Facebook account for a while. I'm the one that has the actual knowledge about what the problem is. They had a Facebook call scheduled, and I said, I can jump on the call, but you are absolutely not to give them my phone number. And in light of that, I did end up giving them I do have a proxy phone number that I use. It's a public facing business number. So, it's designed and secured and things like that. So that's the number I told them to give to them if they wanted to call me as well. But that's the thing is I had to be very specific to say, do not share this phone number with people. And it's a sad world that we have to take that type of approach. But the sad reality is many parents, particularly those that do not think about privacy for themselves, do not think anything about sharing all of their kids' stuff online, even before their kids have a choice to decide if they want to be on the internet or not. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. There's an excellent article from Malwarebytes this week that I decided to go ahead and cover this as an independent rather than putting it in the news, because it's not really news as much as it is just some useful information. Where they talk about sharenting. Are you leaving your kids' digital footprints for scammers to find? Of course, it's not just scammers. We're like, oh, the scammers. I'm not all that concerned about the scammers because I pretty much know how to find scam stuff online. I actually care more about the marketers. I care more about all of the other people. I care more about the morons who want to use and harvest my data and monetize in other ways. I'm not as concerned about the scammers. I'm concerned about everybody on the internet that I do not give their consent. And now some people have coined this term, the sharenting. The habit even has a name, sharenting. It's when parents share detail of their child's life online, often without realizing how public or permanent those posts can become. And this is interesting. I wanted to go through this article because it really covered a lot of really good tips that we should all keep in mind. So what is a digital footprint? They talk about two different things that you could have involved here. The active footprint, these are the things you directly share. You snap a photo and upload it to Facebook. You upload it to Instagram. You put it on TikTok videos or things like this. I even see some of these very, very disturbing trends running around where somebody would do like some, I remember, what was it, 15 years ago, I think it was, the ice bucket challenge. You're supposed to pour the freezing cold ice water on your head and then challenge somebody else to do it, and they go viral. There's a number of different trends out there. There's a lot of trends which result in parents intrinsically uploading their kids' information to the internet. And the kid doesn't know any better. The parent should, but they don't. But that's an active footprint. Even those private posts could be screenshot, reshared, or even leaked. That's what the article didn't cover. What if there's a breach? Like there was a major breach, like it wasn't really a breach, but it was a white hat hacker discovered a major vulnerability in WhatsApp that allowed every single phone number to be scraped. They end up scraping billions of phone numbers off of WhatsApp. Now, it was ethical hackers, so and it was disclosed, and Meta closed that hole, but there's still that possibility. The passive footprints are what gets collected automatically. Cookies, location data, app activity quietly builds profiles of who your child is and what they do. So there's active footprints and there's passive footprints. Some of those are harder to deal with, but you do simple things like, use your browsers, like set your browsers up so they don't save tracking cookies. So closing the sessions, or of course you can install the Privacy Badger application to your web browser, which will block a lot of those tracking cookies. Turn off location data on any apps, any phones, anything that your kids may have access to, and do not download a lot of apps. Nearly every app that you grab from a proprietary source and the Google Play services, the Apple Store, nearly every one of these apps have more trackers in them than you know what to do with, and they're really hard to deal with on a mobile device. And these apps create this passive footprint. So why guard your child's digital footprint like gold? So there are a number of reasons they point out here. Of course, cyberbullying is something that is done a lot in our modern world. And this is like a new thing. Like we didn't have any of this stuff when I was growing up because the internet wasn't there. Okay. Now it's there. And if kids have all this information online, other kids inherently will mock it in some ways. Future opportunities, colleges, jobs may see older posts that don't reflect who they are. This probably more relates to teenagers uploading stupid things on the internet, not nearly as much as parents uploading stuff directly. Safety concerns, of course, locations and routines make it easy for hackers, scammers, and kidnappers to find out where your kids are. If you're uploading pictures of your kid in front of your house, Google image reverse searches can identify your address. Geotagged information in your photos can lead to exposing where that information is. You take pictures of your kid's school or kids in school uniforms or clothing or school logos. It can identify where they live. And this raises serious safety concerns. And then, of course, there's identity theft. Now, this one here, I fault governments and school systems because nearly every government and school system now wants to streamline everything. Nearly every kid either has a Microsoft account or a Google account tied to their school account. And so the school doesn't think anything about uploading your birth date, your full name, your address, everything about you it possibly has. There's no earthly reason Google needs your birthday. Okay, there is not a reason. It should be banned for Google to require your exact birth date. There's no reason. And if your kids are getting ready to go to school, take active steps up front to find out what can you do to have your kid not be in Google's servers. These are kind of frightening things. Now, kids leave hidden trails too. Kids don't need social media accounts to leave data behind. Of course, the gaming platforms, smartwatches, school apps that they're kind of forced to use, voice assistants, these all collect information. And this is the type of information that is oftentimes used against them. Could be gaming stuff. Could have, they could be on Roblox getting targeted by some crazy person that Roblox has no interest in getting off their platform. That's an interesting one. Your smartwatches are giving a bunch of private health, sometimes location data, logged into third-party company servers where hackers or company employees, rogue company employees, have access to that information. I'm not saying they're necessarily using that. I'm saying they can, and you want to minimize the risk. Whereas you do not need a smartwatch on your kid to track if they're getting exercise, okay? Boot them out of the house from time to time, or make sure you go out to the park with them from time to time, and they'll get enough activity. They don't need a smartwatch. The school apps, again, I don't think that schools should be forcing this kind of stuff, but they do. And then, of course, innocent photos could live in a public gallery. Some people make the argument, I'll go and throw it in here. I think there's another place I could throw this in as well. Some people say, well, what about the old phone books and newspapers? When I was in third grade, my picture was in the newspaper, okay, from a school project we were doing. So, we did a cool school project, and I was one of 4 kids. We all held our little posters up and smiled, and our pictures were in the paper. It was cool and exciting. Woo, I'm in the paper, The thing is, though, in that time, the papers weren't on the internet. It wasn't everywhere. Even the crazy phone books, your name was in the phone book. Yeah, the phone book was not on the internet. The phone book was not for everybody across the world. The next city over couldn't get my information. And it was a higher trust society back then. We didn't have as many psychos. Of course, the one place that demonstrated some danger, of course, raising some critical awareness is the Terminator film, the phone book killer, going through finding every Sarah Connor, going through the phone book. Obviously, that was a possibility. And we always paid extra money to keep our name out of the phone book. So maybe privacy was always a luxury of the rich. Of course, back then it cost like $2 a month or something. So wasn't horrible. But kids do leave a lot. Sharing can make it worse. How? A lot of the times we don't think twice about posting a bunch of stuff, posting your kids' birthday photos right when you take them. You may not be actually typing the exact name of their birthday, but guess what? Ooh, we had our son's 2nd birthday today. Now the whole internet knows when your kid's birthday is. Interesting. And then those posts can be dug up much, much later, 15, 20 years later, to find the exact birthday. These scammers go to pretty big depths to find information. Full names, birth dates, locations, posting them on open social media, especially important nowadays that people tend to crave the dopamine of having interactions on the internet. So nowadays people have a lot more friends they don't know in real life than we had when we first had social media. Years ago, when I did have a Facebook account, and all of the people I was connected to, I knew in real life. Now, there were a few weirdos out there that made friend requests to everybody. There's even a cool documentary about a guy that his kid was becoming a teenager and wanted a Facebook account. So this filmmaker made a documentary about his journey. So he's like, I don't know. So he created a Facebook account. He friended a lot of people. He talked to a lot of people he met on the internet. And he got to the end of it, said, yeah, this really isn't for me, but I'm going to allow my kid on it, with a lot of safeguards in place. Now, again, though, that was very, very, very early days of social media when we still had a lot higher trust of society. And the trust in society has completely declined in recent years, which is very sad. But this leads to the next part. Sharing photos, again, with school logos, house numbers, nearby landmarks visible can expose locations, especially those landmarks or those things that a Google reverse search can identify where you are with accuracy. These are things. Geotagging and location data. Always make sure right now, if you take photos of your kids at all, you should absolutely go into your phone settings right now and turn off geolocation tagging on your photos. What this is it's it'll actually, many of your smartphones cameras will geotag where the photo was taken. It adds the GPS coordinates for that photo into that picture. And if you upload that picture to social media, now some of the social media now strips that tag away, but not always. And depending on what you're doing, it may not strip it away. And so if you're sitting there snapping photos of your kids inside your house, like, oh, there's no external landmarks, there's no way to find out exactly where our house is, we're not even taking pictures near windows, but you have geotag turned on, people can still grab those photos and see exactly where you live. Even worse, you take pictures of the kid in the kid's bedroom, they even know the exact coordinates of the kid's bedroom. Yeah, dangerous stuff. You have to be careful about that. Talking about routines, worries, or personal struggles in public forums, this can be a challenging thing. We really want to take all this stuff. And I think one of the reasons we've become such a low trust society in recent years is because we have gotten to the point where we want to air everything on the internet, looking for the internet valid. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, have you considered this? So you get all the Reddit rooms, which I admit are interesting to read, but at the same time, is it really a bad thing? If you're completely making it so nobody can figure out where it is. But you read many of these things, or sometimes I'll listen to the Reddit post readers, and what's fascinating is sometimes just by the circumstances, other people in the person's life can identify who that post is from. And so there is a concern about that. Of course, cleaning up old posts as their kids get bigger. Some people keep using Facebook because that's where their family and friends are. And I understand that. Back a long time ago, I lived in one state, I moved across the country, and for a while I was just doing big email blasts, sending emailed pictures of the things I was up to a select number of people on email. And I gotta say that when I got that Facebook account and I'm over here, and I mostly got the account to keep an eye on the kids I was mentoring, but hey, now that I have this and social media is going over, I reconnected, of course, to all those friends on the other side of the country, and now I was much better able to upload photos that those friends could see. Of course, back then, everybody's profiles were by default set to private, and only your friends, in some cases, your friends of friends could see those posts. Now, of course, everything is all public. And so, because we are now a low trust society, go figure. But you might want to clean up some of those old posts, get those old things out of there so that people can't just go on there and see it. They do mention 2 real life stories here. I have not really heard the first one, and they don't really tell us all the dangers about it, but it says here, Karen loves her son Max. She posts his awards, soccer games, milestones online, sometimes tagging the school or leaving the phone's location on. Okay, so then what happens here is this kid's playing in some video game, and a profile, basically a fake profile, messages him, hey, don't you go to this elementary? I saw your soccer pictures. And now this kid feels like this is somebody that he might actually have a connection with in real life. And so he might start chatting with this person and become a victim of some form of crime. That's a problem. And this all happened because the woman here shared a bunch of photos of her kid on the internet. And that's a problem. Now, the other one we did actually cover in the news, and that was the AI voice scams, which are very convincing that the scammers are using AI voice of their children. And so what you think is your child is calling you, and they have the voice, mostly because they scraped it from social media accounts. They have a lot of details. They have the connections to the parents are. They'll have the parents' numbers from all of the data brokers, which can even show the connection between the two people. And then the AI voice that very clearly sounds like her child says, hey, I've been involved in an accident, and we need like $15,000 of bail money and whatever else. And these mothers like, oh my, I can't help that. Okay, Sally, I'll get you that. And in some of these cases, these guys are good. They know exactly where you are. They're no longer asking for gift cards. In this particular case, we're talking about here, in this particular case, no, actually, it wasn't this one. It was another one that came out about the same time as this one. This was a man. He went out, got the cash, and the scammer came to his house and physically picked up a bag of cash. That's how crazy these can get. So how do you solve against this one? Make sure your family, immediate family, and extended family all have passwords. And you actually want different passwords, and I'll explain why here. You want an immediate family password, because if somebody shows up and says, oh, Bobby, I'm supposed to pick you up. Your parents had something come up. I'm their friend. I don't know if we've met, but I'm their friend. And like Bobby's like, oh, I don't know. But if you set up an immediate family password, Bobby says, what's the password? Well, that guy's going to drive and find another target whose family doesn't set up a password. All right. Now, this also works because I'm not sure if you're aware of this statistic, but most abductions happen by somebody the kid actually knows. And so this is something that you set. This is why you need that immediate family password, because if somebody outside your family, the kid does know, that should not be picking the kid up. All right. They need that password. And if the extended family member gets your personal family member password, they know it's a safe password to pick up. Now you also have the extended family password in case of these phone calls. So, you know, this is your nephew, Uncle Johnny. I need money. Password, please. Your extended family password will let you know, is this real or is this fake? And of course, it goes without saying, do not ever post anything about these private passwords anywhere except in person, so that your communications are not compromised, okay? But that's actually how you solve against that particular step there. They do have some simple steps here. Being a model, you know, ask before you post something. I say, honestly, don't post stuff like this. If you want to be sharing, or you need to be sharing information with extended family on the other end of the country, please, please, please set up a Nextcloud account. It is not expensive. It is not hard to do. You can very privately set these things up in a server and a system you control that only you guys have direct access to. Absolutely, that's the way to go. There's even on the all-in-one system, there's even a chat text message like texting system in there as well, which would make all that communication much easier. Teach privacy basics as early and update the information as they go. Review all privacy settings on all accounts. Keep them locked down. Use pseudonyms. Encourage nicknames for games and public forums. That way, you know, they're not setting up a case where somebody can identify exactly who they are. And then set boundaries for what's okay to share. This is important. You know, you can share these types of photos, but not these types of photos. Okay. And then, of course, as we already mentioned, turn off those geotags. Then there's obviously some things always go wrong. So what happens if somebody messes up? Well, it's let the kids know, particularly, it's safe to talk. Keep any records of any sketchy messages or harassment. Use blocking, reporting, and privacy tools. And hey, if you need to, loop in counselors or trusted adults if you need backup. Mixed success there, but oh well. If there's a real threat or criminal activity, contact proper authorities. And honestly, that is probably in this world one of the better things to do. Even if they don't do anything about it, there's a report about it. And you know, what if you don't do anything and the same person is harassing 6 or 7 different people? Well, even if it seems like a minor crime, if police get 6 or 7 different minor crime reports all against one person, guess what? They're going to start acting because they're sick of hearing reports against that guy. And so we always have to be very aware of the privacy settings and the things like that. So I thought this article was a great one. Let me know your thoughts about all this. I'll go ahead and link the article in the description. I encourage you to read it, consider it, and things like that. So let me know your thoughts about all that in the comments down below.